Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're hanging out at the historic Winter Garden. Winter Garden was incorporated back in the early 1900s, and there are buildings that have been standing here since then. Today we're going to be doing some picture comparisons. We're going to be looking at some photographs taken from the early 1900s. We're going to be looking at the buildings to see what they look like today. I'm very excited to get in there. We're also going to be checking out a couple of museums here, giving homage and talking about the heritage of Winter Garden. There's a train museum here as well that we're going to be checking out. Anyway, that's a lot to say. I invite you to come join me and let's go have a wonderful day. So here in the corner of East Plant Street and North Woodland Street, you're going to find this placard. This is the Winter Garden Downtown Historic District, and it states there, on this corner, farmers built a small wooden train station soon after the Orange Belt Railroad reached the area in 1886. I'm going to show you that train station that they built back then. In 1899, the Tavares and Gulf Railroad constructed a second rail line and depot nearby, which I'm also going to show, which is actually now a museum. The building is still standing, but it is now a museum. It also states that wooden stores rose alongside the parallel tracks, and Winter Garden was incorporated back in 1908. It also goes on to say that Lake Apopka drew a lot of people from across the U.S., being that it became the largemouth bass capital of the world, which led to them building a couple of hotels. One of them, the Edgewater, and then there's another one called the Shelby Hotel, which I'm also going to show. So this building again is the home of Winter Garden Heritage Foundation, and we're hopefully going to be able to go inside the museum that they have here at the end of this building. Here you're going to find another placard which reads, in 1903, a few hardworking pioneers founded Winter Gardens as a farming, citrus, and fishing town. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that as well. 100 years later, from our neighborhoods to our downtown streetscape, our citizens remain dedicated to preserving our unique quality of life. Winter Garden. And if you look at this picture over here, that is the original train station that I mentioned to you earlier, and it is in this exact corner, and it is that exact building right over there. That is again what it looked like right there, that building there. Here you can see the train coming right through the middle of the town. Obviously there's no more train tracks here, but that building over there is that one over there. This corner over here, this building over here, used to be the bank back in the day, in the early 1900s. That bank building actually burned down, and obviously now they build brick, but that's it right there. I noticed here on this other placard that the city was actually incorporated in 1903. So I've seen a few videos, I've seen some articles stating that it was incorporated back in 1908, but this plaque here says 1903. It just goes to show you can't believe everybody. You can't believe everything you read. On this building right here in this corner is the Heritage Museum, which opens Monday through Saturday, I should say Tuesday through Saturday, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It is closed at the moment, but as soon as it opens, I will be walking in there and taking a look at it. And you can see here, they labeled this here as ACL, which stands for Atlantic Coastline, which was the train that ran through this town that way. And as a matter of fact, they do have a part of the train here, which I believe you can actually go into, and we're gonna see now. The door is closed, so I'm not really sure if it's quite open at the moment, but they have this here as well. So this is what the train looked like in the day. It had a small little sink, chair up there. The bathroom. I wonder who was the last person to actually use that bathroom. This is so cool in here. Wonder if you can open this. You can't. But this is so cool in here. This looks like something that you can actually lift up. Looks like this was used for storage. Very heavy. Very cool. I also want to show you some relics that they have here from the past.
Yeah.
This looks like it's a horse carriage, I'm assuming, maybe. Not quite sure. Maybe there's some information on it. They also have this tractor over here. Very old tractor. Very cool. Wonder when was the last time this was used. Look at all these gears there. All those gears. Very nice tractor. This is I remember seeing some photographs here where it says Ford some. I don't see that anymore, but that is very neat. And then you also have a fire truck here from back in the day. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be showing you, we're going to be talking about one of the, actually I think it's the first fire chief, or one of the fire chiefs here in Winter Garden. We'll talk about him later on in the video. And this one is a Ford. Very cool relics from the past. Here they also have these. Actually, I made a mistake. This is the Ford Sun. Very cool. Very, very cool. It's incredible how this building has been around for such a long time. Such a long time. So much history here. We're gonna go ahead and go inside the museum, which opens to the public from Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 3. And it's right in there. Let's go take a look. All right, so we're inside the museum, and right off the bat you can see a lot of relics from the past. This is some of the relics from back in the early 1880s, probably the 1700s. Actually, it says over there the 1500s, back when Native Americans lived in Winter Garden. This is amazing. And over here, I love that I saw some of the photographs that I already have some. Here's a photograph of the Shelby Hotel. So awesome to be in here. Looking at all of these photographs from back in the day. Here's a building that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. This is a building that belonged to the first mayor of Winter Garden, A.B. Newton. That was his name, A.B. Newton. So I'm going to show that. Here's some of the photographs that I have currently to show you. Here's the train station. Here you'll find some history of the African Americans that made an impact here in Winter Garden.
Thank you.
So cool. This looks like a clock from 1919. Very cool. I'm assuming this is one of the bass that were caught back in the day. I don't know. Or maybe that's the size. This is the reason why this city became the big mouth bass capital of the world. Look at that. That's so cool. Could obviously some relics from the past. You can see crocodile head there, an alligator. Here's one of the boating stations for that you would find at Lake Apopka. Love all these signage here. Obviously, citrus was very popular back in the day. We got an orange bird there. Oh, this is so amazing. Highly recommend you come in here to check this out. Now this right here, I'm going to show you later on in one of the buildings, one of the old photographs that I found. I'm going to show you where this had its home. I'm going to show you that later on. This is that same eagle there. Now this is Ponce Motor Company. I'm going to talk to you about that later on today. So this is so cool that I'm actually seeing all this stuff. This is stuff that I've been kind of studying on, and I'm actually kind of seeing a lot of stuff that I recognize. This is a cash register from back in the day. Amazing, look at this. That is Herbert Ponce. So the tractor that we saw right out there, that's who we belong to. And again, I'm going to talk about him later on in the video. Very cool. This building that you see here is the Shelby Hotel, which was built in 1912. They built it to accommodate those who were visiting Lake Apopka to catch some bass. And you can see a couple of people standing there. But this is the building right here, right across the street from the Heritage Foundation here in Winter Garden. And obviously you'd see some changes. Back then you could actually see the brick on the building, and they obviously made some changes here. But this is the building here, built back in 1912. This is 1 West Plant Street. Over here, we'll take a closer look here on this side, see if we can find anything to compare with. Actually, you can see some of the windows here. You can see over here on top of the window how it kind of has a little curvage, or actually you can see the very top up there. There. You can see this angle right here, like this square angle right there. But this liquor store has been here for a long time. You can see that old vintage sign there, very old. But this is, in fact, what used to be the Shelby Hotel. So directly across from what used to be the Shelby Motel, which was built in 1913, is this historic building, which was built by the same person who built the Shelby Motel, but this one here was built in 1912. And you can see it right here in this corner, right there. That is the actual building right across the street. As I mentioned to you, that used to be the building that housed the bank, but this building is right here. And I'm going to show you various angles from back in the day. But this building that you see here is this one right here. And here is another angle of the same building, and you can see the window there in the front, and you can see right there also as well. You could also see the doorway right over there, right behind the car, which is right over there. And you can actually see those two windows right next to each other, right over here. You can also see those two windows. I'm assuming they've made some changes to the doors during, you know, with all this time that has passed, but pretty much it looks the same, actually. If you look at it, pretty much looks the same. This building was built back in 1912. And I'm going to show you different angles of this building with different photographs as the video progresses. Back in the day, between 1923 and 1924, they started to build the Edgewater Hotel that you see here. It laid in this state for a couple of years, but was finished in 1927. The reason why they built this here was because right next to it is the Shelby Hotel, which I already showed you, which is only 2 floors. It didn't house a lot of people, and so they built the competition, the Edgewater Hotel, which was done in 1927. We're gonna go inside, take a look in there. I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of relics from the past. There's even an old manual Otis elevator that we're gonna see, and I'm very excited to get in there. There's the Edgewater Hotel. Seen a lot of guests come in and out. 1927, and it has aged very well. You know, here in downtown Edgewater, you're gonna find a lot of buildings made out of brick. Back in the day, when they first incorporated, there were a lot of buildings, all the buildings actually, were built out of wood. And there was a lot of fires, buildings were being burned down, and that's when they decided, 1908, 1912, to start building buildings out of brick. And that's why you see a lot of brick buildings here in Winter Garden. Now just look at the backside of the Edgewater. It's absolutely beautiful. Just brings you back in time. You got that fire escape there. Wow, amazing. I'm hoping that I can go in there and just kind of walk around the whole hotel and show it to you. So cool. Just kind of walking on this side of the building. I'm just completely enamored with all of this. I really am. That's another building there. I've been standing for over 100 years. Just completely in love with this here. This is where you would check in. See that old picture there. This is where you would actually check into the hotel. Look at that. I don't know what that's called, but it's like a phone board. Another register there. Look at this old style telephone. Very cool. And there, look at that roof up there. Very nice. So here's the elevator that I spoke about earlier. And we're gonna go back in the past. So look at this. Look at that. This is where the person operating the elevator would sit, right there.
Here we go.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Let me put the seat up. I feel like I'm putting the seat to the toilet up. Oh my goodness. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. Oh, that's pretty cool. This is George McMillan here somewhere? Probably there?
Yeah, the owner's grandfather flew this airplane, so he's one of the pilots here. So.
Nice. Now I read that this is the actual first hotel that had the sprinkler system. That's what I read.
It's one of the oldest that was developed or built with its sprinkler system intact, at least in Florida.
I was told that this is the first elevator in Florida too. That's what I was told. I went to the Heritage
Probably
Museum.
not the first elevator, but
One of the first, maybe.
oldest still operating.
Really?
That's for passengers, yeah.
Wow. Just look at all these relics from the past. Wow. Completely amazing. These refrigerators kind of reminds me of, look at all these. This reminds me of a Carousel of Progress.
Yeah. Stepping back in time.
Stepping back in time. Amazing.
By President Lincoln or ordered by him. And
Really?
he was
This one here, this blue one here?
to his estate in Vermont, and then he died before he sat in it.
Really? Wow. Look at this. This China here. Oh. Can I go in here?
Yeah, this is a hallway we have with rooms, but we're sold out other than the one that left today, so I can show you that.
And this is a B&B at the moment? Is
Yeah,
that what that is?
we-
Okay.
I mean, they're hotel rooms with own private bathrooms and such.
Nice.
But we run it more like cozy, like a B&B, where
Yeah.
you get the family-friendly environment and hospitality,
Sure.
along with your modern conveniences and a nice hot cook.
And I read that back in the day, they, you know, they used to come over here. People from the U.S., you know, all over, used to come here for the baths. And then in the rooms was a descaling like sink, where they could like take the guts out, and then they would cook the fish for them.
Yeah, the room out in the lobby is where they would do that. That's the one room that they would
Okay.
cut and gut the fish.
Oh, we're going inside. Oh my goodness, look at this. Amazing. I love how they kind of made it a little modern here. Wow, can I go in? Yeah. Wow. Nice. Now, it was shut down for quite some time, right? I read it 50 years. That's what I read.
Late 60s is when it closed, when Disney started pulling people
Sure.
down its way with it opening. And the town was about, you know, run down and such for about 30 years.
There's that
And then
sprinkler
the
system.
hotel, or the current ownership came in. So it maybe left empty for about 30 years.
And I'm so glad these are smoke-free. Wow.
Yes.
Oh yes, I saw it from the outside. Oh wow, look at this. Oh, this is the smoking area here. Awesome. Wow. This is so cool. So much history here. 1927. Just do this, pan.
We have about 22 bedroom spaces that we
Okay.
rent on a nightly basis.
Mm-hmm.
2-night minimums. Trying our best to allow people to enjoy history.
Sure, sure.
So
Yeah.
a lot of the antiques are acquired from that time period and just put in the room so people can use them.
Sure, sure. Amazing. That was Alicia that gave us a tour of the historic Edgewater Hotel. I was so in love with walking in there, just walking around, looking at the history. They're doing a really, really good job in preserving the history of that hotel. And I was just so glad that I went in there. I'm so glad that I met Alicia. She walked around. She was so graceful. So I encourage you to come over here and check out the Edgewater next time you're in Winter Garden. So this building right here that you see right next to the Edgewater Hotel as it was being built is this building right there. And I love the fact, and I'm going to show you guys in a little bit, how they have some information here. You see that sign over there, the GE Appliance sign? We're going to see a little photograph right now that kind of shows that sign from back in the day. This building was built in 1921 and it's still standing. Look at it right there. There's the Dixon sign right there, right next to the railroad sign right there. And here's some information on this building. Built in 1921 by Davis Jeter McMillan, Robert E. Black, and Alva Cohen. It's that building right there. And I love how they have this bicycle here, this old school bicycle here. But yeah, that sign is still there. Very, very cool. Here on this building, this information plaque kind of reads the same that we read in that photograph that we just saw. But she told me that I can actually go in here and go up the steps and see if I can find some old photographs. Get up here. 1921, folks. She's telling me that I can see some photographs from back in the day. You can hear the cracking of the wood. Look at this. This here. That's so cool right there. That's the same building. So cool. This building also housed the post office, as you can see there. And here's that same photograph that we saw downstairs. This is just so darn cool. You can also see this old photograph of the building from back in the day. Now, I'll tell you one thing for sure. The people here definitely embrace the history of this beautiful city. They preserve it very well. The history, that is, the heritage of Winter Garden. They do an incredible job, very welcoming. They know that there are a lot of people that love this type of stuff and they accommodate you. Very cool. Wonder how many people have actually walked up and down these steps since 1921. Now this sidewalk that you see here is where the train track ran through, and they decided to change it and turn it into a bike trail. And so you see a lot of people here riding their bikes through this sidewalk here, and the trail is kind of large, it's kind of long, so you see a lot of bicyclists here. The bicycle shop that's over there in that corner of that building that we just looked at, they actually rent out bicycles and so forth. But as you can see, this is a very happening spot over the weekend, and this is so cool. So much history here. Now this photograph was taken back in the day in the same spot that I'm standing in right now. You can actually see the Garden Theater number 1 back before the new one, you know, the one from 1935 was built, right there on the far right, bottom right corner. But you can also see a sign there, the Sunoco gas station sign. And if I remove the phone, look what's here, Sunoco. So I don't know if they did this purposely, where whoever rented out or whoever leased the property here, this gas station had to have a Sunoco. But I just love the fact that there's one there today and there was one then back in the day. So cool, so amazing, very cool. So I'm actually gonna be talking about the theater that's right across the street over there. That's what I'm gonna talk about next. All right, this photograph that you see here is when the Garden Theater was being built. And the Garden Theater was built in 1935. And that was a picture of back then. You can still see the railroad tracks. And then this is it right here, right before they put up the marquee. Now you have that beautiful marquee from back in the day. Not sure when they added that marquee, but this is the building back then. You can see there on the very top, matches up with that right there. Right next to it, this building over here was the Pounds Motor Company. But originally, this was the Garden Theater. So this is considered Garden Theater number 1. This one is considered Garden Theater number 2. And this one here is now a bar restaurant. And what they did is they put the signage to kind of make it match to what it used to look like back in the day. And I'm going to show you that building next. So in this corner, all right, so right next to the Garden Theater is the Pounds Motor Company building, which happens to be this one right here. And you can actually see some old signage from back in the day right there, and then another one right up there. This is the dealership that revolutionized the tractor industry, actually. The gentleman by the name of Mr. Pounds, Hoyle Pounds, he was the inventor of rubber tires on tractors. The reason being is that back in the day, they were just laying down the brick, and the tires back then weren't made out of rubber, so they were destroying the brick. And so he came up with the concept of adding rubber tires to the tractors. Lost picture there. So this is the actual building there, which is this one right over here. Historic, built in 1926. Very, very cool indeed. Here's your information plaque. It does state that this building was constructed in 1926 and that this building housed the Pounds Motor Company for 82 years. That's the information placard there. And I did fail to mention one thing. Remember that eagle standing on top of the globe? This is where it came from. It stood right there in this corner of the Pounds Motor Company. Right over here, in this corner. Right there. That corner.
The brick wall.
Right there. Here's the rear of Pounds Motor Company. And as you can see, There's a lot of activity going on. You got the farmers market, a lot of vendors here selling their product. This is a very happening spot here in Winter Garden on Saturdays. Very cool. A lot of stuff to do here. All right, the photograph that you see here, the gentleman standing in front of it, is the fire station that was built in 1938. The gentleman that's standing in front of it is Hoyle Pounds, which also owned the car dealership that I just showed you. The reason why he's standing in front of this building is because he was also the fire chief, which he had that position for 40 years. And this building right here is this one right here. Obviously, they've made some changes to it. It is no longer a fire station, but you could match it up. You could pretty much match it up. You got the 4 windows on top. The 2 in the middle are more narrower than the ones on each end, and you know, you can obviously see here that that's where the fire trucks used to pull into. But you can match it up right there. You can match up those 3 dots right there in the corner with the buildings as well. And so that is the old fire station built in 1938. As we look at the Winter Garden water tower, this building right over here is the house of Central Florida Railroad Museum. This building was built in 1913, but in 1978 it was turned into a museum. And this is what the building looked like back in the day. It is right here. This is the second depot that the city of Winter Garden had, and the main one I showed you at the beginning. This was the second one, and you can actually still see some train tracks on that way, which I will show you. But I'm going to go inside the museum, check it out, and come around the building as well. I think they do have a caboose out in the back, so we'll see if it's still there. So before I check out the museum, I just want to take a look at some of the relics that are out here. Obviously, this is the arm that comes down, stop you from getting hit by a train. And you know, you got this right over here too. It looks very old. And here's the information placard. Got some older stuff here as well. Narrow gauge wheel there. Look at this. This is all. Look at even this lock looks like very old. Very cool. There's an old sign there. You got this here, the Atlantic coastline. Very old, very nice. And it kind of goes that way, but we're gonna go into the museum, and actually let's take a walk back there first and take a look at the train tracks. You could actually see some train tracks right here already, right there. Along this way here, and over here, here's the water tower. And we're gonna look at a picture from the perspective of the water tower. So that's gonna be very cool also. We're gonna match up another building that's over here on the left. But for now, I just want to kind of, like, there's more railroad tracks. And over here, this is where they housed the caboose, but it's not there now. They obviously moved it. But there's an old lights over there, railroad crossing over here. So cool. Yeah. Back from 1913. There's more signs there. And then obviously you can see the tracks as they move along that way. So the train actually came from that direction this way, and right here the tracks kind of get hidden until you reach the train depot. So as soon as you walk into the museum, you're going to come across some old photographs of some railroad and railroad tracks from back in the day, like Apopka. You're going to find some from Winter Park and also some from Orlando. Some of these photographs from Orlando, or train stations I should say, are still in use today. So these are some that you can still visit and catch a train. This is the Orlando train station, and you can see some of that in the movie Ernest Saves Christmas. Once you go up the steps, you'll be able to come across some old china, some silverware, A lot of stuff here at this museum, really a lot of stuff to look at. Some old lanterns used back in the day, some lights that were used to light up the tracks, relics from the past. You're also going to come across this replica train station. Very cool. Let's go ahead and ring the bell. These were the actual nails that they used to put down the track, to nail down the track. And as you can see, they get bigger as time goes by. And look at them now. Wow. You can also see the track, how it's gotten thicker with time. Look at back there. You're also going to come across some old style telephones used back in the day and an example of the first Morse code. Here is the first photograph known. Here is the earliest known photograph of this train depot back in 1914. Then you can see it here in 1958. Then in 1969, 1979, which is when they made it a museum. And then over here in 2023. And then its present state. Actually, there has been some change, some additions. We saw that on the outside. Now, the reason why I want to show this building is because this is the same location where the A.B. Newton building stood. Now, A.B. Newton was the first mayor of the city of Winter Garden. He is, as a matter of fact, known as Mr. First. He is known as Mr. First because he owned the first the citrus packing house. He was the first postmaster. He owned the first business in Winter Garden, and he owned the first newspaper. And as a matter of fact, this city doesn't have any homage to him, doesn't have a plaque, but he was buried very close by, which I'm going to see if I can go and find his gravestone. But this is the building that he had here, which stood in this corner. And you can see the name, his name on the building, and it was on this corner. And they actually painted a nice little mural here on the corner of this building. You see the Love Winter Garden. You got some citrus, obviously very important that they do that. You got the swing, and then just to give some props to the creator, there's the signature right there. So far, we've done a whole bunch of historic buildings. We went inside the Railroad Museum. We checked out the Heritage Museum, but there is still more photo comparison to do. So we're almost wrapping up, but I got some other locations that I want to show you. So as we take a look at the Winter Garden Water Tower, we take a look at this photograph, which was actually taken from up there. And I want you to draw your attention to that building there, which I believe it is this one that is right there. The reason why I think it's that building is because if you, let me scroll over here, sorry, and do that. You can see that building there. You can see the staircase right here, which you can also see in this photograph right there. There's that staircase there. And then when I swipe here, you can see the staircase over here. Now, the windows here match up. And so does this building over here. Okay, so let me just show you guys that. Right there. That matches up perfectly. So that's how I know that it's that building right there. Now, I had my doubts because the windows look a little bit different. And I'll show you that right now. The windows kind of look a little bit different there. Right? But it has to definitely be 100% that building. So just to kind of confirm, I was hoping to see the staircase, which I don't see it here. So at one time, they must have removed it. There's no staircase. I was banking on it. I was really banking on it, but there is no staircase. So at some time they removed it, but it's definitely this building. Now, directly across the building that I just showed is this one right here. This is the Man and Mills building, which you can definitely match up. I mean, you know, right now, they've made that addition right there, and they kind of have like a marquee there. But you could definitely match up the balconies, right? You can match up the balconies on each end, and the windows also. You can match them up right there. Obviously, they added a building right next to it, so we can't see the side of the building, but this is it right there. And this building was built in 1922. This building here. Just wanted to throw in another mural that I found here. Very nice mural. You got the hummingbird, very colorful. Love it. It's been a while since I've come across murals. It's a very cool mural here in the corner of South Main Street and Joyner Street. So earlier in the video, I spoke about A.B. Newton and how he was the first mayor of Winter Garden. And unfortunately, there is no plaque nor homage over at Winter Garden, but he was buried not too far away from Winter Garden at this cemetery over here. And I didn't want to kind of walk around trying to look for his gravesite. It was just too many people buried here. And I actually asked that gentleman over there in that fire truck over there, and he didn't have an idea. He didn't even know that the first mayor of Winter Garden was actually buried here. So anyway, I wanted to kind of show the gravestone. Wasn't able to. I'm not going to spend 2 hours trying to find it. I do know that it's just like a plaque on the floor. It's not really a tombstone. And so, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to see his gravesite. Friends, we've come to the end of the video. If you like the content, please don't forget to smash the like. If you have not subscribed, consider subscribing. I'm going to end this video like I always do. We came, we saw, and we conquered. And do me a favor, have a wonderful day. Peace.